It feels like every other week, another blockbuster corporate merger just completely takes over the headlines. So today, we're going to pull back the curtain and really dig into the world of mega deals, why they're suddenly back in a big way, what actually happens when they're announced, and maybe most importantly, where the next big shakeup might be coming from. All right, but before we jump into all the juicy numbers, just a quick but super important reminder. This whole explainer is for educational purposes only. We're not here to tell you what to buy or sell. Think of this as us just breaking down the mechanics of it all, not giving out any financial advice. Okay, so what's the big picture here? Well, after things were kind of quiet for a while, mega deals are absolutely roaring back. We are seeing companies make these massive, industry-shaking moves, and honestly, the scale is just staggering. And when we say big, we really mean it. Just take a look at the proposed merger between Union Pacific and Norfolk Southern. We're talking about an $85 billion deal that's set to create America's first true transcontinental railroad. Imagine that, a single rail network linking the entire country. That is the kind of scale we are dealing with. And look, this isn't just a one-off thing. The entire market is on fire. Between 2024 and 2025, the total value of global M&A deals just shot up by a whopping 43%. That's the strongest period for deal-making we've seen since 2021. It's pretty clear that confidence is back in the boardroom. So this brings us to the moment everyone watches, right? The announcement. The news hits the wires, but what actually happens to the stock prices of the companies involved? Well, it's not always what you might think. To really get the answer here, you have to realize that it's not just one story unfolding. It's two different stories happening to two different companies at the exact same time. So on one side, you've got the acquirer, that's the company doing the buying, and on the other side, you've got the target, the company being bought. And what happens to their stocks on announcement day? Well, their fortunes are almost always complete opposites. To measure the real impact of an announcement, analysts use this key metric called abnormal return. The easiest way to think about it is this. It filters out all the general market noise, the everyday ups and downs, so you can see exactly how a stock reacted specifically to the merger news itself. So what do the numbers actually show? Well, for the target company, the one getting acquired, the news is almost always fantastic. Its stock price typically jumps by an average of 8.6% on announcement day. And why is that? It's simple, really. The acquirer is almost always paying a premium over the current market price, which gives those shareholders an instant payoff. But what about for the acquirer, the company writing that massive check? The reaction is way more skeptical. On average, their stock barely budges, showing just a tiny 0.8% positive return. The market is basically saying, we're not sure about this yet. They're withholding judgment, signaling that they're worried about whether the high price and all the complexity will actually pay off in the long run. But that immediate pop in the stock price, that is definitely not the whole story. The long-term game is where things get really, really interesting, and the roles of winner and loser can sometimes completely flip. You see, that announcement day reaction is almost like a reflex, but over the next few weeks and months, the market starts to really digest everything, the strategic logic, the risks, the potential for real value, and that's where the story starts to get a lot more complicated. And this is where the script often flips. Over 30 and 60 days, you can see the acquirer's returns, that gray line there, start to trend strongly positive. The market's starting to believe in the long-term strategy. Meanwhile, the target company's initial big gains, shown in teal, often level off, because now its fate is totally tied to the acquirer's success. And this really gets to the heart of it all. While the target company's shareholders almost always get that immediate premium, the outcome for the company doing the buying is far from guaranteed. As the research shows, the evidence is mixed. Some acquirers create massive value. Others, well, they destroy it. In the end, it all comes down to two things: strategy and execution. Okay, so knowing all these market mechanics, where can we expect to see the next big wave of deals? Where is all this strategic money flowing as we look ahead? There are a few key themes that are clearly emerging. We're seeing this massive race to control the tech infrastructure that powers AI. There's major consolidation happening in media and entertainment, and we're seeing huge moves in these foundational sectors like energy, healthcare, and transportation. And the sheer scale of what's happening here is just incredible. I mean, this table shows just a few of the biggest deals on the horizon, from transportation and media giants to these critical players in finance, tech, and medtech. billions and billions of dollars are being deployed to build the dominant platforms of the future. But as these massive deals move from just an announcement to an actual reality, a whole new set of challenges and questions starts to pop up for everyone involved. One of the biggest things to watch for in the coming years is the changing regulatory environment. The anything-goes era might be fading away. Regulators in both the US and Europe are seriously increasing their scrutiny, and getting these huge transformational mergers across the finish line, well, it's probably going to get a lot tougher. And all of this leaves us with one final, really provocative thought. As today's giants join forces to become tomorrow's titans in these critical sectors, you have to imagine the boardrooms of their competitors are absolutely buzzing. The biggest question in the market right now isn't just who is buying, but who is going to be the next takeover target. And that's all for this explainer on the return of the megadeal. Thanks so much for watching, and we hope this gives you a new lens to look through as you watch these powerful forces shaping our economic landscape.